Brakes, 2014 Chevy Express, the rotors. If you can't get to this part with the tire off, don't start. This is a T30. It's gonna spin, so you gotta hold this as you're getting out your T30. Surprisingly, this one wasn't that bad. If you can't get that off for your rotors, don't even start. I have a security a strip bolt kit to get this out if need be. So I'm taking this off on both sides.
What's going on, everybody? Rob here. This video is on changing the brake pads, rotors, caliper, 2014 Chevy Express 1500. I changed them because at the end when I'm stepping on the brake, almost before it stops, it goes bzzz, and it's just a shaking like bzzz, you know, right before you stop. So I took off my calipers before to check my pads and rotors, and the caliper on the driver's side, one of the pistons was stuck. So I unstuck it. I had my wife pump the brakes. I put blocks on one piston and the other piston came out. Put blocks on one piston, the other piston came out. So I thought I had it pretty good. We put it together, bled the brakes. Still happened. So I went ahead and I bought another caliper, new rotors, new pads, everything that works. Changed everything, bled the brakes. It's still happening. So what I noticed is when I changed the brake line, if you see there, the brake line was hanging. Nothing was dripping out. Nothing was coming down to that caliper. When I bled the brakes and pushed the brakes, when I bled it on one side, it shot out good. On the side that is vibrating, I opened it up and it did come out, but not as hard force. So I'm thinking I may have a clogged brake line. But this is changing the pads and the rotors and one caliper, driver's side caliper, Chevy 1500. Also, I may have a bad wheel bearing that what may be causing that.
Alright, this one I had to spin the rotor where it was easier to grab, and I got a bar in it so it can't spin right now. 18mm sockets to get this caliper bolt off and this caliper bolt off. These are caliper bolts with the rubber boots. 18mm socket. This one has a double piston, one right here and one right here. I want to put two C-clamps, one on here and one on here. Don't mess with the hose, give yourself a lot of space and compress this right now. This caliper is the good one. The other one, I'm going to replace the whole caliper. It pressed the pistons in, so now you can get this off. These ain't all the way out. This is the caliper that I'm going to replace. I mean, not replace. This is the caliper I'm going to set right up here. Now I got both pistons in already. We're going to get the brake pads out, and then we got to get the bracket nuts off. On these clips, there's pins at the bottom that you got to push down. See the little pin? To push down to get them out. You see, at this point your rotor should be loose and could come out, right? But now we got these all the way back here. This was the caliper bolt. Now this is the rotor bolt right here. There's two of them. I mean the bracket bolt. These got to come out, otherwise your rotor's not coming off. These are also 17mm, so 17mm bracket bolt, 17mm caliper bolt. I'm sorry, I said this is 17. No, this is a 19 for the caliper bolts and the caliper bracket pins. Everything to this point went fine. These are not coming out. I'm spraying them with knocker loose right now, and then I'm going to try a breaker bar. Now with a breaker bar this big, I'm going to use the impact socket. Loosen that one some. Let me check this one right here.
Insert curse word.
Stripped, I think.
Insert curse word here.
Sorry, that one's stripped. This one's good. That one's stripped. 19mm with a breaker bar. This one's out. That one's stripped. Gotta do something else. These are reverse wheel sockets for something that's stripped. You hit them on 19mm, and then the harder you push, the tighter they get. There's no way this should be this tight on here. It's gripping it good. I'm gonna go get a smaller extension If this one don't get it, then I hate to say it, but we're gonna have to apply heat. Oh, God. There it goes, I think. I got it. It's stuck on there because it was stripped, so I gotta get it off. Ta-da-da! Guess what's not going back on there? Okay, so there's your. This is gonna go back on. We're gonna put new pins in there, right? But now this can't come off. I gotta use them with 2 hands. This is heavy as heck. See, this is heavy as heck. Okay, but now here, these right here got to be cleaned. Not clean, but I'm gonna put some brake clean in there because you can see you can't even see the threads in there. So, all right. So here go the new ones, and I got a measurement. So I'm gonna take a measurement on that one, measurement on this one, and why I'm doing that? I bought these outright. I can have those turned if the measurements are good enough. All right, put them on there. They're the same size. Let's check the width. These are 30 millimeters. 30 millimeters. I'm gonna check the new one. All right, we're gonna take these out because with the new brakes, we got a new one of these, new clips. And then we're gonna clean these out really good. Just clean them out in there really good. And the new brakes got new clips. So I made a toothbrush and some brake clean and clean these out. All right, your new pads got the pins and everything. See, there's clips right there, the caliper clips. Make sure you get the right one. Where is it at? Oh, the right one on the right side. Right there. They go right there and right there. I got a toothbrush and some brake clean. So I'm gonna clean them off really good. Then I got some caliper grease that I'm gonna put back in here. All right, this is the side I'm replacing the brake caliper because the piston's stuck. But I wanted to show you this. It's spinning and spinning and it's not coming out. Well, down here there's another bolt that you could put a crescent wrench on, but I could hold it by hand. See it spinning down there? So if it don't come out, you guys hold that to get this one out. All right, you see how rusty this is right here? So before I take this off, I'm gonna loosen this up because this I gotta put on my new caliper. Before I tackle that fight right there, I'm gonna put some knocker loose on it and start getting that ready. All right, let's go. Wish me luck. I'm not taking it off. I'm just loosening it up because it got to go onto the other caliper. Nope, that just stripped right off. I'm gonna go down one. Nope, that's not going on it right there. I'll make sure the new caliper got a new one. I got a 12 and an 11 and neither of them fit on here. 12's too big, 11's too small, but it does look like it was a 12 because this is rounded off already. There is a new one, so I'm gonna go compare these on the new one. The new one is a 12, so this is stripped. So again, once again, it saves me because I got the strip stuff to get it out, and the new one comes in the new caliper. I got these for strip bolts, but I'm gonna have to hit that one on with a hammer because the other one's too big because these are standard, not metric. But I'm gonna hit that one in, and then I got a little impact gun. I'm not taking it off, I'm just backing it off before I take everything out because it'll be easier. It's in backwards. It's on the most gingerliest. Alright, let me try another one. Oh, I didn't want it all the way out. It's all the way out. I'm not going to strip it to put it in, so let me unhook this. And then I'll put it in like that. Okay, there. Alright, it's on. See, that's the only way I could get it out, though. I had to get this off now. Alright, so that's good. That's good. That's already ready to come out. It's dripping some, but we do got the it's dripping pretty bad. I'm gonna put it back on with an 11 and tighten it up right now. There you go. It fits on with an 11 perfect now. Alright, this caliper's bad. This piston don't go in or out. It's frozen. So I put a block on this one and I pumped the brakes and everything, and I would get it to move with this one blocked. But with this one not blocked, it's stuck in. So that's why I gotta change that caliper, that piston. Alright, my beautiful assistant went to go get me the bracket bolts so this could go back on now. And this can only go on one way, and the rotor could go back on now. So you put the rotor on first, and then you put this. I brake clean everything before everything's done. Alright, you got to make sure your hole's going to line up with your star right here. A lot of people don't put those back on because it's just a pain in the ass to get them off sometimes. Now my bracket could go back on. I cleaned these in really good, so now this could go back on. This goes on the inside over here. Remember, it goes on the inside of this. It doesn't go on the outside, it goes on the inside. And the new caliper bolts got anti-seize on them, so that's pretty awesome. I gotta lay underneath here. Oh crap, I got my 19mm on the other side. Alright, from what I read, the caliper bracket bolt is 129 foot-pounds of torque. There you go, 129. 129 foot-pounds of torque. Now we still got to put the caliper grease. You got to make sure this flat one is the back and the curved one is the front. What I'm doing is making sure all the pins are the same, because sometimes your pins are different sizes, and not the pins but the brackets, and they go on the top and the bottom, but these are all the same. Okay, I'm going to clean this off before I put the caliper grease down there. This is the caliper grease right here. Don't get this on your rotor. You know what, before I do that, I'm going to put that back in. Well, I'm here anyway. Now I'm going to put that back in first. Alright, so I'm not going to strip it. I'm just tightening it as best I can. It held the rotor in place better, so that's why I did that. Now you got your caliper grease, so a dab will do you on the bottom, on all fours. I want to get under there to see. Now your brackets all look the same. You really got to clean those good, because if you don't, the brackets won't clip in right. But all these look the same, so try to center it on there and then clip them in. Alright, they all appear the same, that the bottom clips in and the front's just going to lean back when I put the pin in. So I got one for the bottom and one for the top, and then these are going to be greased also, but I gotta lay underneath there to see that's right. You don't want this, you want this as the same place as the bracket. You don't want this rubbing on your rotor. Okay, next are the pads. The flat one on the back, the curved one on the front. These pins are flat, so they're not up. The other ones were up. These pins are flat, so that's good for me. Now these are perfectly dry and everything. What another mechanic told me to do, I don't know why, rub them together before I put them on. So that's all I did right there. The flat one goes on the back and this one goes on the front. Before that, you got to put some caliper grease on these pins right here, because this is what it's going to slide on. Those are what the pads slide on to open and close. Now before I put the back one in, I'll put some on here also. Then I'm going to put the back one on. I just can't see from this angle anymore. Same thing for the front one. The front one is the curved one. Don't get any grease on the pad itself. Beautiful. Calipers next. This caliper's up here. I was looking, the other one's getting a new caliper. This right here is ready to go on. Don't go on really good. Try squeezing your pads together. And if not, you gotta get the get one of your old pads, or two of them. Squeeze that in tighter. Since I was younger, I never had a lot of money. I had one, I would go off of one C-clamp. And then now, guess what, I'm a big boy, I got two C-clamps. A lot of the smaller cars, all you need is one. But on a big van or a big truck, there's two pistons in there. So you gotta put two of them on there. All the way down to squeeze the piston all the way back. Alright, now the caliper should go on. Alright. Again, I gotta get underneath there, I can't see. I can see the back, but I can't see the front. So, okay, one's on. Drop the bolt, gotta find the other one. Alright, it was the rubber boot that was stopping it. So these are, don't forget, 19 and 19. You know, at this point, I just wish I would have changed all the bolts. So I gotta tighten those down right now. I know it's greasy, but I'm gonna go ahead and brake clean the whole thing. Alright, so from what I read, the caliper bolts is 74 foot-pounds of pressure. So 74. 74. Alright. I gotta clean this off with brake clean, and this one's done. I can't put the tire on because I'm gonna have to bleed it because I'm doing the caliper on the other side. As I was doing one side and those caliper bolts were stripped, I went ahead and my wife went to the store to go get the bolts, and I started taking the caliper off the other side. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not going to show you how to take everything off on this one. I'm just showing you how to switch the caliper out. See, even the boots in this bracket, they're stuck. They're not even springing back out or nothing like this. That's the bracket. And then this piston stuck right here. So this whole thing got to be changed. This bolt stripped. The top one, top caliper bolt, top caliper bracket bolt on both sides stripped. Alright, here's the new caliper and caliper bracket. I buy the caliper and caliper bracket together, so I know it goes. Okay, so I gotta take the bracket off of the caliper. This bracket will come off of the caliper. I need two hands. All this is perfectly greased. Do not mess around with this. This is all this is perfectly greased. Do not mess around with this. Those are gonna go in the boxes labeled 2014 Express because those could be returned. The pads were just completely uneven because that one piston's not working. I got channel locks so I can squeeze the hose a little bit so I could get the banjo bolts on the caliper. Caliper brackets, new bolts because the other one stripped out. The hose is hanging on there still, but I'm not gonna take that off of there till the new caliper is already on here. All right, do you remember how much foot-pounds of torque? 129 foot-pounds of torque for the caliper bracket. Got a torque wrench. Normally I just wing it. All right, so these got to come out because these are what's going to tighten it. So you might need a crescent wrench because if you try to back these out and it don't turn, then you need a box wrench or crescent wrench to hold that still while you back that out. Man, somebody played a joke on me. I couldn't get this one out for the life of me. I had to put a breaker bar on it. All right, sliding my caliper pins in now. I gotta move that one out the way. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You know what amazes me is the caliper squeezes in right here and bolts down to these, but that's what holds the caliper on. But it does grip on the front, so it just opens and closes like this. So remember, I gotta put caliper grease on that. I'm not going over all that. We're just going back to switching the banjo bolt. All right, so we're all greased up, no place to go. Let's go get the caliper. We're gonna put that on. 74 foot-pounds of torque on this right here. After that's on, then we're gonna switch the banjo bolt. This one's not gonna fit. I gotta put the smaller socket on. This is 74 foot-pounds of torque. Getting the pounds yet. Just tighten it. It's slipping in there. Remember I said it's gonna slip sometimes? Well, it's slipping. I gotta get the other one for this. Right here. 74. The other one I gotta get a crescent wrench. What sucks is they had it too tight from the factory. That's not gonna get 74. I'm gonna have to bleed those, push those out a little bit. That keeps slipping. I'm trying to get the 19 or 74. See it slipping? Got it. One more. Got it. Get it done. See, these right here were slipping, so I couldn't get the 74 pounds. I'm trying to bring the boots up around the bolt now so they could touch the hair. The other side boots are in the bolts. I can't get these in there. I'm not going to rip the boot, so I'm going to start transferring the banjo bolt, but it has to be in the exact same direction as that. Right? The same thing right there. This is going to be the new banjo bolt. But before I do that, hello, they're out here. I'm gonna, in the middle, clip that down so everything don't start flowing out on me. And this is already loose. This was an 11 millimeter. This is a 12 millimeter. I don't know if you can see. This is a 12 millimeter. All right. And there's two little copper pieces right here. So these two copper pieces got to be in between that. Okay, so that's clipped off. Let me go get the stuff for that. I had box wrenches, government standards, right? So I have this one in my hand. There's two copper bolts, copper nuts, washers. One got to go in here and one got to go between this. But remember, this was stripped, so this is an 11 millimeter now. And I already loosened it. All right, that's off. Now I gotta get this out. You see there's a copper washer in there. You gotta get that out. Right now, I'm holding the copper washer. I wish I had my sockets with me, but I had these here. So I just grabbed these. And I'm actually just backing it off. Alright, now you see there's one on the bottom and one on the top. You gotta put it the exact same way with the new one. There's a new one right here. Oh God, I'm exhausted right now. I'm too old for this crap. One on the bottom, one on the top, the exact same way. And this was a 12 millimeter bolt. So let me get the exact fitting for you, the torque specs. This torque spec is in inch pounds. All I got is foot pounds. I'm gonna hold this right here and tighten that down with a 12 millimeter until it compresses all the way and don't move. Sorry, 11 millimeter. I have an 11 millimeter in my hand. And this copper has to compress down because that compression on the copper is what makes it leak proof. All right, government standards. Take this off to the hose. All right. Now this is the bleeder screw right here. This is what's gonna bring fluid down into here. So I gotta bleed it now. Let's see what we got for the bleeder screw. We gotta get fluid down into the caliper. Now there's no fluid into this caliper. Let me see what this is gonna be. Oh man, I don't have them in order. They're just laying right here next to me. This is gonna be a 10 millimeter problem. For the life of me, I can't find my 10 millimeter box wrench. I was working on my tractor last. So I hate doing this because I don't want to strip it out already. Alright, it's loose. See, normally you used to have stuff trickling from there. So I'm letting the fluid come down here. If you want to come down faster, I'm going to take out the... I'm going to put more fluid in. More .3 black fluid in the reservoir. And then take off the reservoir. And on this one, I'm just bleeding the front lines, man. I'm done. I'm exhausted. It's 4-wheel drive. It's right here. Came right off. Let me see if I get some out of here that way. If not, we're just gonna have to go ahead and step on the brakes because gravity's holding it in place. So that's what we're gonna have to do. Let me tighten this up, see if I can find a 10mm. This is already on the max, it looks like, so I'm gonna leave this right here. We're gonna bleed the brakes now. All right, with the vehicle off now, I gotta bleed them, but since I'm doing the front, you gotta bleed the furthest away from the master cylinder first. So I'm gonna do the passenger first. After that one's all done, then I'm gonna do the driver one. And this isn't bleeding brakes. I just gotta finish bleeding these brakes, clean them off, and I'm done. But if you want to bleed all your brakes, you gotta start with the furthest from the master cylinder and come back in. That'll get my honey start bleeding these brakes. That's replacing the brake caliper. 2014 Chevy Express. Then if you haven't bled the brakes before, I'm doing the front, so let me show you. She's gonna pump the brakes 5 times. Pump the brakes with the vehicle off 5 times. I'm gonna open this, it's gonna squirt out, and I'm gonna do that 5 times. But when she pushes the brake 1, 2, 3 really hard, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really hard, hold it down, loosen it up, tighten it up. She's gonna squirt out, come back. Do it like 3 to 5 times, then go to the driver's side. Talk to you later. Subscribe, like, and share.